Imagine you're on your way somewhere when you suddenly see an animal that needs your help. Could you just walk right by? If not, then this video is for you. This is definitely gonna restore your faith in humanity. This poor deer couldn't see anything and was sure it was being stalked by a predator, but it turned out to be its personal guardian angel. A clumsy baby elephant fell into a ditch and thought his family was gonna leave without him. But instead, they called for people to come help, and with the help of an excavator, the humans were able to set their little one free. This mama elephant has more manners than most people I know. This wolf had been starving for so long that it finally had to ask a human for help, and this kind man had to act quickly, so he didn't hesitate to give away all the food he had.
Не бойся, не бойся, на. Ну на, не бойся, на.
And this poor soul hasn't seen the sun in a solid 10 years. Nobody's cared for this horse all this time, so its hooves have grown up to a meter in length. It will most likely never be able to walk again without pain, but with the help of caring people, now it can even run under the warm sun. And this man was certain that a parking lot was no place for a kitten to live, and just like that, the baby found its new, loving daddy.
It looks like she was just born. Aww.
A poor penguin stood no chance against a group of killer whales. Its only hope for escape turned out to be some people on a boat. Look at how overheated this poor duckling is. Poor thing. Thankfully, this man quickly realized what to do to save the bird's life. Now, this little guy can be reunited with his siblings. This fox decided to steal food right in front of some fishermen, but the man didn't get angry because he saw how hungry the animal was, so he decided to share instead. This gosling got stuck between some rocks while trying to reach its family. All it could do was wait for a miracle, and that miracle came in the form of this woman. A desperate mama dog was begging passersby to help her, but this man was the only person who took the time to follow her, and it saved 2 small but important lives. And now they're best friends forever. Joe Field was an abandoned dog, but he rose to the challenge. This little monkey got stuck in the bars, and its parents couldn't do anything about it. Even the rescuers couldn't help because of the mother's panic. But they didn't give up and found a way to free the little one. After putting out a fireman noticed this unconscious kitten in the house. He could have just stepped over it, but he knew that every life is worth saving. A woman stumbled upon a very dehydrated cockatiel in the middle of the road, and that could only mean one thing.
I'll take you home. I hope you're okay.
Now, her family has one more happy baby.
Oh my God, I want to take him home. We can put him in the truck.
We can put him in the truck.
We can put him in the truck. Look at him. I got a chip.
This little guy met the most excited rescuer ever. When this bald eagle couldn't take off into the sky, these guys realized that something was wrong. They decided to help, but it wasn't easy for them to earn each other's trust. But they did it. After some rehabilitation, this beauty will once again be able to fly. To people in search of food, so now they have to take care of him. Look at this little guy. Mad respect for carrying a whole ecosystem on its back. But along with this pile of shells often comes parasites, so this man gets the turtle cleaned up and saves its life. These whales had almost made it to the open sea when they got stuck in the ice and started to panic. It took people 8 hours to free them and prevent them from suffocating in the process. This baby will definitely remember this day as the happiest of its life. Now get back to your family, baby shark doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. These people stopped a huge herd of camels in the middle of the desert in order to save their lives. That's because they knew there wasn't a single source of water for the next 160 kilometers. If the owner of this house hadn't come home in time, this dog would not have lasted long in the 37 degrees Celsius heat. But now, this poor thing won't have to hide under the house ever again. A safari was interrupted when the guide noticed a zebra lying on the ground. The poor creature was very dehydrated, so everyone offered their own water to save the animal's life. This guy found these 2 baby sea turtles and was helping them to get to the ocean. He thought they were the only ones, but he soon realized that there were more lost little babies.
These little guys.
These guys discovered a baby seal that was cut off from the ocean and too exhausted to find its way. But as soon as they brought it to the water, the pup immediately came to life. This fox got stuck in a wheel in a rather unfortunate way while searching for food, so people had no choice but to take it to the professionals. This crocodile fell into an empty well and might have become stranded there forever, but these brave people decided to fight for its life. It doesn't matter who believes in evolution and who doesn't. When it's hot outside, we all have to hydrate the same way. But that second one is really acting like a human. To keep from becoming too dehydrated, sometimes even powerful birds have to ask people for help.
Because it really hurts.
Imagine what it's like for a mother to hear the cry of her child and not be able to help. She was sure that the man was there to harm her baby, but she had him all wrong.
Come on, you're nearly back through. Come on then. Come on. Look. Here you are, look. Good boy. All right. Come on. Come on. You're a good boy. Go and protect your baby. You feeling a bit calmer?
After a bombing, the man living here lost everything. His dog didn't even have time to run out of the house. The odds were slim that the pup was still alive, but rescuers didn't lose hope. And then, a miracle. The owner of an animal shelter went to see what his dogs were barking about and heard a tiny kitten crying for help.
Joj, pošteno. Joj, pošteno.
It looks like a happy ending, but if he hadn't decided to come back the next day, these two wouldn't have survived. Things couldn't get any worse for this abandoned dog, and then he got electrocuted. The next 5 minutes of his life were critical, but he made it.
Olha! Caraca!
We don't know how this cow ended up in a canal, but we do know that it would have been impossible to get her out without heavy equipment. Luckily, these workers weren't afraid to stop what they were doing and help. Two cubs and their mother could have become a hearty meal for a pack of wolves if not for the courage of one forester.
Nie! Zostawcie!
Check out this enormous fin. It belongs to a 10-ton whale that got stuck in the mud in shallow water. It wouldn't have lasted until the tide came back in, so these kind folks stayed with it. Freezing to death is a terrible fate, but these donkeys miraculously survived the night at -40 degrees Celsius. Returning them to their previous owners was out of the question, but at least now they'll have a new home. Watch these elephants block people's way to ask them for help. They somehow realized that a vehicle was the only thing that could get their 8-month-old baby out of the pen.
Go!
The way he immediately ran to his mother just breaks my heart. Humans shouldn't interfere with wildlife, but when this mountain vulture was left without a mother, people decided to take a chance. For 136 days, they fed the bird with a drone until it could fly on its own. Mama Drone is no longer needed. This guy couldn't think of another way to save this fox except to throw a rope down to it. Apparently, this is the Einstein of foxes. A sick puppy begged for help from every person that walked by, but everyone pushed her away because of how she looked. Everyone except this guy. He knew that this good girl could be cured and that she was worth it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, don't do it. Oh, okay, she's doing it.
We have no idea how this goat ended up on the power lines, but one thing's for certain. Its life was entirely in these people's hands. They tried to get the animal down, but failed and went straight to Plan B. So, you're old enough to have kids, but when it comes to your house, you immediately call mommy for help. Well, the ducks aren't different from humans. A goose without a beak can't eat even if the food is right in front of it. But this poor thing is lucky to be the first goose in history to have a 3D printed beak. Believe it or not, this moose approached humans on its own to ask for some water, and he was in luck. This little fox was in serious trouble and made the bravest decision of its life. It took to the road hoping that humans would help, and it worked. Watch as this man saves a baby bird from thirst. Moments like this make my heart melt. Imagine that you're a huge cobra and you come to a man for a drink and he gives you a shower. Some people are idiots. The island where a giraffe named Asiwa had lived all her life was rapidly sinking into water teeming with crocodiles. The best solution was to escort the animal to a safe place on a raft. The Ruko reserve team had been planning this rescue operation for several months, and it worked. If you think cancer's just a human thing, check out this 22-year-old great pied hornbill named Yari. A small crack in his beak eventually led to the whole thing being removed. Doctors managed to make a prosthesis, and it was such a good fit that the bird even dyed it yellow with a special pigment from his tail. Everyone had assumed that this dog was just pregnant, but it turned out that almost 10 liters of fluid had accumulated inside it. Fortunately, one person actually noticed and was able to get the dog some help. Just look at how this crowd of strangers rallied together when a 10-meter whale suddenly washed ashore. Moments like this restore my faith in humanity. A run-in with a poacher cost this eagle its beak along with its ability to eat, but a consultation with some caring doctors gave the bird a new lease on life. This calf gets carried away by the current while trying to cross a river. He would have been doomed if not for this brave guy. This poor cat froze to the ice right next to a walking path, and only these two women answered her cries for help. She's gonna be just fine now. This cat pays a high price for leaving the safety of its yard. It's awful to think about what could have come of it had this man not come to the rescue. A poor fox spent days trying to get out of an icy canal. Upon seeing some humans, it begs for its life. They try to help it climb out on its own, but end up having to save it with their own hands. A tiny baby dolphin accidentally swims into a dead end and throws itself ashore out of desperation. But thankfully, this woman notices. She decides to take it to the sea in hopes that it'll find its way home. Come on, little guy, swim to your mother and don't lose her again. This man is horrified because his dog is still inside the burning car. A policeman immediately begins searching for the dog, whose time is running out.
Oh my God! Where's it at? Hey, come on, man! Hank!
Just getting it out of the car turned out to be even more difficult than they were expecting. You can always buy a new car, but you can never buy a new best friend. This is what happens when a hummingbird doesn't notice a tree while flying 40 kilometers per hour. Looks like it's doing a system check now. You'll never guess where this foal is leading these people. It's desperately asking them to try to help it get to its mother. A little fox cub decides to help itself to some dog food, but instead gets its head stuck in a jar. Lucky for this fox, it stumbled into this particular person's yard.
There we go.
And now it looks like this little cub belongs to him. Just look at how this dog gets swept away by the current. It takes a whole team of police officers to get it out. But the most difficult part was still ahead of them, urgently resuscitating the dog. This squirrel probably just wanted to play with some fishing line, but it got all tangled up and couldn't get out. It took these guys quite a long time to free him. Oh, look, he decided to come back and thank them. The only reason this donkey is still alive is because of a log it got caught on in a flooded river, and it needed to hold on long enough for these people to carry out a successful rescue mission. They definitely would have fallen in if this person hadn't shown up in time. But now they're saved. Bear went on his first voyage but swam too far and completely miscalculated his strength. And if not for these fishermen's boat, he would have simply sunk. An abandoned dog was trapped by a raging river and wasn't even trying to call for help, but an entire team of rescuers showed up for him. Almost 200 pigs were trapped in a barn that suddenly caught fire. But look at how a standard rescue operation turns into the sweetest thing ever. When this orca got stuck on the rocks at low tide, she was doomed. But rescuers poured water on her for 6 hours so that she wouldn't die from overheating before the tide came in. This dehydrated leopard got its head stuck in a metal vessel, so it just sat in the middle of the road, hoping to receive help from people. Look at how the predator bravely tolerates handling while being rescued. Just look at how this mother elephant covers her baby with her own body. Her heart just stopped beating. While rescuers fought for her life, the youngling feared the worst, that his mother would never wake up. But sometimes, people are capable of working miracles. This baby bird's mother chose the worst place to make a nest, but thanks to one caring person, a whole team of firefighters arrived to help it. This deer was the only one out of a whole herd that didn't make it across the frozen river. With a temperature of negative 14 degrees Celsius, the poor soul wouldn't have survived the night. But she didn't have to, because some local workers came to her rescue. Her life is in good hands now. One of these fishermen immediately rushed to help when they saw a colt stuck in the mud. But pushing the 30-kilogram animal wasn't so easy, especially since it couldn't even stand. But the man did his best to return it to its parents.
О, давай, 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 давай.
Иди. Все, не трогаю. Я не трогаю. Да.
There they are. She's showing me.
This goat practically begs this woman to follow her, not to show off her kids, but to save their lives.
Oh my God. Come here, baby. Oh, come here. Oh my God, what are you doing down here?
Now, the whole family's back together again.
Please.
No one knew what was wrong with this cormorant and why it was refusing to eat, but this veterinarian immediately realized what the problem was. The bird had somehow managed to swallow a half-liter plastic bottle. This man saw an injured monkey on the side of the road and just couldn't pass by, a kind act for which the animal sincerely thanked him. Now they will be friends for life. I have no idea how this guy heard desperate cries for help in the middle of the road, but I do know one thing. Without him, one little life would have been cut short. It's obvious from looking at this frozen goose that there's nothing that can be done to help it. But this random passerby decided to try anyway. He slowly and carefully warmed the bird until it literally came back to life. This brave little fox had no intention of giving up and called for help from his mother because humans can't be trusted.
Сейчас, погоди. Ветку отожму. Вылезай.
Well, except for this human.
Пиши отсюда.
Just imagine what birds of prey would have done with this pigeon if the police hadn't noticed it. The situation turned out to be a tricky one, but these pros came up with a very unusual solution. Workers neighbors heard a cry for help coming from a flooded pit. They decided to check and saw this poor dog with a puppy. Just look at how she begs the rescuer to pull her baby out first.
Welcome back to the life.
After launching, these professional kayakers spotted a poor deer in the strong current. Every time it tried to get out, it was swept away. Until one of the kayakers managed to load it right onto his kayak. Wow, the deer's gonna remember this swim for the rest of its life. This couple definitely wasn't expecting to see this while out on a date in nature. They immediately rushed to help the baby cow, who was rightly terrified, but fine. This eagle couldn't get food for itself and was critically exhausted, so it crawled out onto the road to beg for help, where it was noticed by a wildlife rehabilitation worker named Martin. He tried his best to help the bird, but unfortunately, not everyone can be saved.
You're still living, kiddo.
And when I have to put an eagle to sleep, it's a very, very bad day.
A poor roe deer lost her home and her entire family in a forest fire. She miraculously managed to survive thanks to these firefighters. A hurricane took everything from an elderly woman, even her best friend. After resigning herself to the loss, the universe suddenly presented her with a gift.
Dog. Hi, puppy. Dog.
She still had what she cared about most. Two bucks fought so fiercely to determine which of them was the alpha male that they locked antlers and tumbled right into a freezing river. They had no choice but to accept help from this man with a saw and forget that it ever happened. This bear found a way to open a tin can, but got its tongue stuck in it. Just imagine, it was smart enough to turn to humans for help. Fortunately, people weren't afraid of the huge beast and organized an entire rescue operation for the bear. Here's what circus life can do to the king of the beasts. He was rescued by a volunteer, but the authorities wouldn't allow her to keep the animal. But the lion didn't trust anyone else, so he stopped eating. The only way to save him was to reunite them. Nearly 1-year-old Asha weighed about 13 kilograms when she was found in a traveling circus. But just look at how she transforms with a little care. Believe it or not, a pack of wild pigs actually brought their kids to play at the playground. All except 2 of the piglets were able to find their way out, so people had to call the fire department to help. These girls usually check floating birds' nests just in case, but not this time. 2 newborn chicks miraculously survived, but they were doomed if they didn't get food and warmth. Luckily, they have a new mom now. We will never know whether this monkey would have had the strength to swim to shore or not, but it's clear as day that little Jack Sparrow knows exactly what humans are for and how to use them properly. What could be worse for a young, spunky dog than losing 2 of its paws at the same time? Just look at how happy she is to be able to run again. A curious bear found a barrel in the middle of the forest and decided to find out what was inside, and it turned out to be a trap. If he only knew how lucky he was that people were passing by.
There you go. Keep it going. Don't stop. He's got it. He's got it. He's gonna breathe. There you go. Heads up, buddy. Attaboy.
This man sees a sheep stuck in the snow and decides to help it, but even he has no idea how good his deed is. poor mare fell into the drain and couldn't get out by itself. It took 6 types of equipment and 12 people to free the animal, and the horse never would have been able to make it through the nightmare without this guy's support.
Yeah.
Decided otherwise. Not only did she warm the bird up, she also melted my heart. The last thing you expect to see at a construction site is a deer. A little while longer and it would have stayed there forever, but workers saved the deer the only way they knew how. In a last-ditch effort, this soldier rushed to a baby deer's rescue despite the fact that it had already sunk. Nothing is more important to a real hero than saving a life, even such a tiny one. Who would have thought that such a small well could become the final resting place of such a huge moose? But hypothermia had taken its toll. It took 7 grown men to free the animal. A penguin found a refuge while trying to escape a predator and got stuck. Fortunately, the penguin was lucky enough to meet a human in the middle of desolate Antarctica. Just look at how happy it is that they met. This soldier is taking on his most important mission ever, and thanks to his efforts, this stork will bring many more babies into the world. A mother leopard's babies fell into a trap while she was out hunting, and she never would have seen them again if it hadn't been for these good people. Thankfully, all these animals are going to be just fine, so feel free to tell us which. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next part. See you soon.